1037 of B. My name is DJ Q89. You locked into You Got Love Radio. Hit us up on the beat request line 231-722-8338. We are inside the 8 o'clock hour. And on the show, I have some special guests. If you're not familiar of Art Prize is an event that they do in Grand Rapids every year. It's usually around the end of September, beginning of October. But for some reason, they made it a little early this year. So the end of Art Prize is happening what time?
September 28th.
September 28th is the last day.
Yes, Saturday.
So I have some special guests, and they are from Muskegon. Well, are y'all from Muskegon?
Yes.
Okay. So tell Muskegon a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am Henrietta Hadley, currently representing a veteran organization located here in Muskegon called W.I.N.C for All Women Veterans.
Okay.
And we represent women veterans from really across the state. But because we were founded here in Muskegon, we tend to have a little bit more of a preference to make sure our women veterans here in Muskegon are included and that they are seen. Because if you don't know, a lot of women veterans don't always disclose that they serve their country, nor do they feel like they are seen because their male counterparts seem to get a little bit more attention in their minds. So representing W.I.N.C today and being honored to be a part of Art Prize this year, we have always been invited through a large collaboration of about 30 veteran entries called Art for Honor.
Okay.
And this year we accepted. And when we accepted, we needed to decide what our entry was going to look like and how we were going to represent veterans from across the state, since this is a statewide festival. And so I reached out to two of our local photographers that are here with me today, and I'll let them introduce themselves and ask them if they would do the honors of using their creative expression to showcase our women veterans.
Okay.
Hi, my name is LaJoy Frierson. I have LJ Green Photography. I personally have worked with Henrietta previously on, a variety of projects, and was invited to come aboard on this project, which I was so excited about, to just put a little bit push on my creativity. So coming aboard for this project was really exciting, and it pushed the level of creativity versus just studio photography, headshots, just regular things that I do. So this project gave me a different insight in regards to veteran women, just the experience and just to get an insight on their outlook, their feelings and everything. And the goal was to capture that through photography, but also put a creative edge on it and have these women recognized.
Okay. What about you, Tori?
Is it fair to say what she said? Tara Becker, originally from Muskegon, run underneath Lens and Keystrokes for my business. And I think working together collaboratively gave us a chance to get to know women veterans. I entered I've known Henrietta for a long time, but entered in because my grandmother was a World War II veteran. So it really means deep to my heart to be a part of this project.
Okay.
Getting a chance to not just to have something collaborative and go in photography wise and, engineering that a creative brain, but to have that one-on-one with veterans and get to know why did they think the way they thought and how did they think when they came out of combat? Like, I love the community relation portion of it, the person to person, how can I talk to you type stuff. But working with LaJoy has just kind of expanded our whole horizon of what artwork really is. It's not just a photograph. It's creative and it's innovative, and it kind of turns your mind. And there are 14 women in that photo.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
14?
14. Yes.
When I first looked at it, I saw 5. But yeah. Wow.
Yeah. There you go.
It's
2D. I think we're in the category of 2D.
That's correct.
Okay.
For photography, which right now we're getting a pretty big buzz around just their creative expression and how they laid that photo out.
Okay.
I think the layout is what's grabbing everyone's attention. And we did invite Brother Brooklyn, who is not a woman veteran, but he is a part.
I was going to get to him. Y'all had a special guest.
He is a part of the Art for Honor, which, like I said earlier, it's over 30 veterans from across the state. And we encouraged him to put his creative juices on the table as well. And there you have it.
Hi guys. Yes, Rod Coley, brother Brooklyn. Again, when we talk about veterans and art for honor, my piece is called Subconscious Behaviors, brought up for a conscious conversation. And y'all guys know me, I talk about the what's going on in our brain, neuroeducation.
Okay.
And it's basically when you see it, it's a three-piece, and it's for you to have that thought of the conversations between me, myself, and I. So when we look at a veteran before he goes in, and then a veteran when he comes out, and how his brain structure change. So again, the pieces again just to have start people talking about the subconscious behaviors that need to be brought up for a conscious conversation versus yeah, what's wrong with them? Are you okay? But now we get into the education, in my opinion, the missed education,
Yeah.
the neuroeducation, and we talk about people of color, BIPOC. And it's very special to me that we learn this because again we're trying to prevent what um, mental manipulation, and
Yeah.
I think I'll leave it right there.
How can people learn more about it? Like you said, we should
Well,
learn more about it, but how can people get the resource to learn more about
the resource, and this is what we're laying the groundwork here right here in Muskegon Heights. Guys that know me, I'll be teaching a STEM biotics program
it? Okay.
at Muskegon Heights, but it's really a SEL program, and it's based off of my book that everybody knows, Lessons from the School of Hard Knocks, which is about my journey from growing up Brooklyn hard knock life to retiring as a robotic engineer at Howmet. But the real deal is I have 20 years of prison ministry where I've seen the same human minds make the same human mistakes that get the same human body incarcerated. And that's the message that we're trying to get out, how to prevent that. And it
Okay.
starts with the story you tell yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, man.
Right.
Yeah, I
Right.
would like to learn more about that.
All right.
Yep.
Thanks.
Getting more about Art Prize this week. So, where is the piece located in Grand
Well,
Rapids? What area?
it's in Grand Rapids, which is very unique for it being a veteran piece, is at the Veteran Memorial Park.
Okay.
And I believe that that is located on Fulton, right there in the center of Grand Rapids. So if you drive right through,
Is that by Rosa Park Circle?
you drive past Rosa
Okay.
Park Circle, and I think because of the way the construction is located, you may have a slight detour, but
Yeah.
you're going to come back onto Fulton and you'll be able to park really right across from the library or the Children's Museum or some other landmarks.
Now, is there a cost to see the displays?
No,
Anything?
no,
No
no.
cost.
Everything is free.
Okay.
Everything from our prize, from our display all the way to the DeVos place. Everything is absolutely free. The only thing that it costs you is to get out of your car if you're traveling
The gas.
and vote and
Okay.
really scan our QR code. We have a
Okay.
QR code right. I think the QR codes are in front of both of our pieces, so they can scan their phone. It'll take you right to the voting, cast your vote, and that puts us one step ahead to win. And then you can also go online. There's a way you can go to, I believe Joy has shared with me, it's artprize.org or
I believe
com.
artprize.org,
It
I
might
believe.
be artprize.org. You go
Mhm.
on there and then you just kind of scan through all the pieces and you'll see our piece and you'll see Brother
And what's the name of the
Rodney's.
piece again?
Our piece is
Okay.
called Portraits of Her Service.
Okay.
And we really, wanted to make sure that the portraits of her service would be comprised of everything that this woman veteran has experienced, whether it was when she was being recruited or when she was serving our country or when she came home. And I believe we captured that through some of the expression that Tara was sharing earlier. What was the thought process? And we spent some time during the photo shoot, and I'll let Tara and Joy share a little bit about how that photo shoot was set up. So you might see the end result of a beautiful portrait, but
Yeah,
we spent a lot of time. I think
I
we
want to get into
offered
that.
about
Yeah.
four different photo shoots to get an idea of what these women were thinking before we took the photos.
Okay, Joy. Well, how was the process?
Yeah. So initially, Tara and I worked together to initially come up with an idea of what we wanted to um compile to kind of get an effect from these women. And with that being in mind, not just taking a photo, because with us being photographers, we look at things from a photographer's standpoint. But Tara went a little bit more in depth to interview these ladies and to get um their wording that described how they felt coming out of service. And, that ranged from fear, anxiety, just a variety of things. And that's part of our second piece, which is the wording that the woman gave us. And we just, we simply asked for just, one word. But during that process, like I said, being there in the presence of these women, different times that we, did these interviews or questions, just seeing the expression on their faces when they did, search and find the right words to give us, and that gave us a better, a better insight of, how we want this project to come together. So initially, we want to get, like, we're really trying to push our creativity. So that was us kind of coming up with stuff. We had like an outline we wanted to do, and we probably would have been in the 3D category because we were like, okay, well, let's take their photos. We're gonna put them, take pieces, put them together on like this 3D image and have it coming out and all this different stuff. And so with some different time constraints, we had to kind of rearrange, pivot a little bit. We're like, okay, we got it. We can still, we can still pull off a powerful piece. And so, okay. And we still, decide we can still come off with a powerful piece, still with simplicity, but still showing emotion in this, in this piece. And so, one of our sessions, again, Tara was there and everybody was there, but I was looking at things from a photographer standpoint. So I initially asked one of our ladies to remove her glasses. And so that experience just kind of gave me a deeper insight to what these women have been through. This was not just a simple project, take your pictures like this,
Now,
you're done.
why did you? Because I don't know. I can't
Yeah.
see what you see. Why
Yeah,
did you say
so
remove your
that
glasses?
for reflection.
Okay.
So to eliminate reflection, post editing, you can kind of save, hey, you can just pull your glasses out, then that can reduce post editing time. Again, I'm thinking from a photographer standpoint, post editing,
Okay.
and then time wise to have have things in by deadline. And in that situation, um the the lady veteran, she was that didn't sit well with her. And so it took a while to kind of come back around to seeing both points of view, because she stated to me, well, that you don't ask someone to take their glasses off. This is part of who I am. And so when she stated that, it took a while for me to kind of process that, because like I said, in the moment, I'm thinking of from a photographer standpoint, time crunch. I got something else to do after this, and things like that. And so at that moment, I don't think it still didn't really register. I'm still thinking, okay, I got to do this afterwards, and do this and do that. But once we met up again, and she really thoroughly, explained to me how she felt, and how this project, how it meant a lot to her, and how, while in service, you don't feel like an individual. You are part of, this
Yeah.
community of veterans and of women in service, and you don't feel like an individual. And so even with her glasses, that's part of her, that's part of
Yeah.
her, that's who she is. And so to be called onto this project, and to be highlighted, she didn't want to seem like she was like just everyone else. And so that just kind of gave me a deeper insight to all of these women's story, regardless we were only with them just for a short period of time, but just to get a deeper insight to who these women are, what they've been through, how they felt. And that was the goal, to have this come out in the image, because what you see here is, one lady, she has her American flag like scarf on. The way they have their hairstyle, the contrast in between, skin tones and things like that, because you have African American women, you have Caucasian women there, but they
Yes.
are all veteran women's, and they have served, and still deserve to have their individuality within this photo. So you see glasses, you see scarves, you see hats, but it still highlights these women and their and to get their honor for their service.
I was trying to bring up a picture of it.
Yeah.
So let me have y'all
Oh,
talk
there
about.
you go.
Yep,
Yeah.
have y'all
this is
talk a
that
little bit
part.
about
That's
this one.
Yeah. So okay, yeah, I'll let Tara
Okay.
explain.
So with that one, it was just kind of getting in the minds of the women. How do they feel when they came out of combat? was the question that I posed.
Can you see that?
Um,
Okay, because I have it on the back of this shirt too. If you wanted to look at it while she's talking.
Oh,
about
yep,
it.
I can see it.
Okay.
Yep. Oh, you can set it right here.
Okay.
Yep.
And for several of them, the reason I put it inside the head was because, well, that's where our thoughts come from, right?
Yeah.
The ones that are in color are referring to positive. So whether it's confident and aware, accepted, blessed, just any of those that are comfortable, they could be relieved. And then the ones that are grayed, which they have no color to them at all, aren't
Okay.
really negative, but they're indifferent. And they do have more of a not a positive outlook. They'd be frightened,
Fear,
fish out of
upset,
water,
Mhm.
fear. Yeah.
scared, exhausted.
Yep. Yep. So that was the whole point of it. And those are words that are really, they stick with us in our heads, whether they're negative or they're positive. That was a great way to get to know the women overall.
Now, are y'all selling these?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
No, we do have the shirts for promotional purposes,
Uh-huh.
because we wanted all 14 of the women and their families to have a shirt if they were at Art Prize. Because if they were at Art Prize, the whole idea is during the 4 weeks, we were going to be out there on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. So when folks walked by, we could have some type of interaction.
Yeah.
And so this is kind of our promotion outfit for the next well, it was for the last 4 weeks, but going forward, and I'm glad you asked that question. It's really been laid on my heart as the curator of the whole event, of the whole project, is that there's more women veterans that have stories.
Yeah.
And in order for us to get to them before they get to themselves, and I'll tell you what I mean by that, the women veteran suicide rate has spiked in comparison to their male counterparts. And they don't have a problem with that attempt. A lot of them are very successful. And so this is another way for us to use this project for probably a couple of ways to engage the women veterans, keep them engaged, give them an opportunity to express themselves,
Okay.
be heard, be seen. And so the project will, if we can get all of the paperwork and all of the trademarking and the regulations together, the project will travel. And the
Okay.
goal is to travel across the country to do the same thing we started in Muskegon, across the country, to start to either capture their photos or to capture their stories, so that we can take this portraits of her service across the country to save lives. Because we do have a problem in terms of women veterans. And even within these women veterans, as I was glad Joy and Tara was able to express, they saw what, for the last 7 years, I've been trained to work with this community, because I think as civilians, we think of veterans and we think of their experience as a very honorable one. But unfortunately, a lot of our veterans come home wounded. They come home worse than what they went in. And a lot of it is not necessarily even serving, fighting in war. They may have been fighting within their barracks.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the women that we serve through W.I.N.C, and why W.I.N.C was even created, was the founder was dealing with suicide herself and was dealing with the experience of military sexual trauma, and came home with a very, very high level of PTSD. And so she started W.I.N.C to really engage her sisters, so that those that were experiencing this would have a place to come for connectivity. And so the portraits of her service to me is just an extension of that. And I think when I was, the founder asked me, why did you say yes this year? And I said, I believe I said yes this year because it was time for us to come out of hiding and to really come out front and be an example for women across the country. And I say that because our Facebook page is very, very visible. We get a lot of hits. I think we're at maybe 2,000 right now, where folks are just on our Facebook page. And a lot of times they're not on there so much just to be there. They're there because they can see within our social media that there's some connectivity.
Yes. After Art Prize, there's what's next? Any outreach that y'all plan on doing? Any
Yes.
events or scholarships opportunities?
I'm not sure how far we'll go with that as far as scholarships, but I do know right now, if you don't know, there is the Military Women's Memorial, and it is located in Washington, D.C. And that is a place where all women, we have over 3 million women that have served our country. Our biggest thing right now is to get women to understand that they served, Now they need to be registered
Okay.
with the Women's Memorial. So the goal is to take the show on the road to capture their photos and to capture their stories, but to really partner with the Women's Memorial in DC so that we can start a campaign to get these 3 million women to understand you served, now you need to be registered. And if you ever visit, and I say this to your listening audience, if you ever have an opportunity to go to Arlington and visit the Women's Memorial, all women who served our countries, their pictures and their profiles are on a wall
Oh, really?
and they're registered. So if their families decide that they want them to be there after their last fight of life, they can be there and they can also be registered and their families can remember them forever. And at at the military women's memorial. So that's really right now what's in my heart, is to make sure that and I'm not sure I'm pulling on both LaJoy and Tara to bring it on and come with us. But I do know once we start traveling, I'm sure we're going to pick up a lot of attention from other photographers and other projects like this, because it's been brought to my attention probably since our prize that there are other projects that are very similar to this. But I don't know if they're partnering with the military memorial, and I don't know if they have someone in the Biden administration who is waiting for us to come to DC who currently works for the Biden administration. And we already know it's going to be it's going to be the first woman president in office next year. And so with that, we have a lot of folks in Washington that are waiting for us to bring the project there.
Okay. Now let's bring it back real quick. I want to know, how do you enter an art prize? Like, how is that process even about?
Yeah.
Because I know it's tough.
It is.
Yeah.
We were fortunate, as I said earlier in the interview, that we had been invited for 4 years because there is a anchor veterans group called Arts for Honor.
Okay.
Pamela Alderman is the featured artist. And she has been working with the veterans community for probably the last 10 years. And her goal was to do art therapy for veterans across the state.
Okay.
And as she was doing this art therapy, she decided that, I could enter as a professional artist, but why not start to pull on some of the artists that are veterans? And that's how Brother Coley and all of the other veterans, because there's a plethora of veterans that are in the art prize, but we were able to do our own introduction through Arts for Honor with Pamela. So that's how we were able to get in, and we were invited. Not all veteran groups were invited. So how did we get in? Because we're unique and we're just special and we're doing a lot for veterans. And this is our 10th year anniversary serving veterans across the county of Muskegon. And I believe it was favor.
Yeah.
I really do.
It's a blessing y'all doing this. It's
Yeah.
a blessing. Before we go, I want to put y'all information out there. You mentioned your social media. For people that's not following you, how can they follow you?
Well, yes, you can go to our WINC Facebook, which is just wincforall.com. And WINC is spelled W.I.N.C, which means Women Injured in Combat, the wounds you don't see. And then, of course, we have a website, which is, of course, wincforallwomenveterans.com.
Okay. I see two. I say winks for all women's veterans.givingfuel.com.
Yes, but I believe that's for our special when we're giving for someone wants to make a donation.
Donation.
So
Okay.
of course, I'm glad you brought that up because we're always looking for donations. So the Giving Fuel is for the donations, and then the .com is just for if you want to go on our website and see what we've been doing for the last 10 years.
Okay. Appreciate y'all coming on the show with me, and enjoy the rest of y'all weekend.
And thank you.
Yep. Getting back to some more music, Muskegon, you keep it locked right here at 103.7 The Beat.